for Book of Experts TV.
Topics you love.
Experts you trust.
Friction-free referrals.
Tried,
tested,
Trusted.
This is Book of Experts, brought to you by salesman.me.
All right, folks, we're back with the Book of Experts.tv, and I almost said SalesMap. I had that backwards there. Sponsored by SalesMap. And today we are talking about how to simplify your marketing. So our guest is coming in. It's afternoon here. It's going to be evening for him. He's joining us from Edinburgh, Scotland. And how to simplify your marketing, I think that's the question that we all want, right? Because when you get caught up trying to do all the stuff, it drives you nuts. It drives you crazy. And you end up not doing things well because you're trying to do too many things at once. So that's what I love about the conversation we're going to be having tonight. I'm going to bring on our guest, John Daniels, one of the secret weapons, the unknown heroes of the European digital marketing scene. Excited to have you on. You've been here with us on the podcast before, but tonight we're actually doing a masterclass. We're going to go a little bit deeper into your process, the lean marketing process, and how the heck do you simplify your marketing? Because this is like in the back of everybody's mind.
Amazing. Thanks, Tobin. Really great to be here. And but just to share this, the results of, 20 years of going all this digital stuff, when does it work, when it works, and why does it work? And what do you do when it doesn't? After, you hear from my accent, I'm from South Africa. Been living in South Africa, living in the UK, and, doing work in the US as well. I just found that there are certain fundamentals. There are certain ways of kind of cutting through the nonsense and seeing what actually works.
We're having a guest appearance with Sputnik. Sputnik the cat enjoys joining in on these conversations. So
he's a regular guest at evening meetings. So yeah, he'll chime in and tell me whenever I'm doing it wrong. You might even see him if you're lucky.
Yes, actually, I've been in some of those meetings where he makes the appearance.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, this is how you win the internet, right? And there are some folks that invite llamas to Zoom meetings. Today, we've got Sputnik the cat who's joining us to talk about this digital marketing game and how to get out of our own ways. And John, one of the first times you and I connected, we were talking a little bit about the John Wanamaker quote about, I know that half of the money I'm spending on my marketing is completely wasted. I'm butchering the exact words here, but half the money I'm spending on my marketing is completely wasted. I just don't know which half. And I think that that's also at the basis. If you're trying to do all the stuff, if you can cut out the things that aren't working for you and aren't productive, that immediately feels like a big win. If you can limit it down to only the things that are going to produce results for you. So, but how do you do that?
It's interesting. So I'm a marketer, but I didn't come to this from a marketing background. I came to it from a systems engineering background. So I'm quite used to, troubleshooting, usually like the internet's not working. That's where my job would start. It's not working. And then, in systems engineering, in TCP IP, you've got this thing called the OSI reference model, which basically looks kind of like a funnel, and we'll definitely talk more about funnels at some point. But I got very used to, there's a very rich system of troubleshooting, of getting used to, okay, here's a complex system. How do we start knocking out bits and pieces and isolating, well, is it this, is it that, is it this, is it not that? So when I started doing Google Ads back in 2003, this is where my brain was at, to say okay, great, people see my stuff, they click on it, but what happens then? When it works, does it work? That's great. If not, why not? And started to get into measuring things. And Google Analytics is kind of your go-to. You really want to figure that out, and then start digging and start creating what I call marketing experiments. And just observe. It's actually the secret to this whole digital marketing stuff really is understand. Find out what your customers want and give it to them. There's a lot of measurement tools out there, but I thought just asking the right questions, and I think that's what I'm going to share today in terms of radically simplifying your digital marketing. It really comes down to 4 questions. Who are my people? Are they seeing my stuff? Do they give a shit? And are sales happening?
Yeah, I
So
think
I'm
you have
happy to
you have a graphic. Let's bring this up. So, folks, we're going to ground you right up front on what the conversation is going to be about today, because John has brought it down to really the 4 steps, the 4 questions that you need to have good answers to. There we go. Got it up on the screen. The 4 key milestones, as it's labeled here. But this is what we're going to be working through. And how did you sort of arrive at these questions, John? What was the process, or what did the path look like for you?
Well, I mean, largely trial and error, largely a lot of mistakes, and like I said, it was about 15 years into digital marketing. 15 years, probably 30 million pounds, or 30, probably what's that, $40 million of ad spend, right, of other people's money, and getting quite deep into the nuts and bolts of measuring, the results of paid activity. So I read a lot of books. I read kind of all the digital marketing stuff. Love Perry Marshall, really good stuff around Google Ads, but a lot of trial and error, right? And there were certain things I kept coming back to. The scientific method is one of them, like hypothesis, test, proof, proof or failure, make a better hypothesis. And over time, it's when I'm looking at a business, and I've worked with more than 400 different businesses, everything from dentists to software as a service companies, from consultants to, I even worked briefly with Oprah. I mean, go figure. All right, so kind
I did not know
over.
this. Here's a story that we may have to revisit this one. So.
Definitely. It's an interesting story. Circle back to that. Not digital marketing stuff. That was more systems engineering thing. But ask me about that later. But lots of trial and error. And I forget to get people would generally bring me in to say, listen, I'm spending money on digital marketing. It's not working. And very rapidly had to get to grips with, okay, here's a system. How do we start finding out which area that we can start looking at? And again, this took me back to my systems engineering background. And what you want to kind of figure out very quickly is which domain. Like if you've got a whole building full of broken stuff, you want to kind of isolate which room the broken stuff is in, and then start looking there. So out of all the digital marketing tactics, I wanted to create these very simple questions to isolate which area of the funnel is broken. Okay. So that's really how it evolved. And the fundamental question, the one at the top, really is the one I'm fanatical about, is understanding who your customer is. And I want to have you consider that your ideal customer, if you run a business, is somebody with problems and money. Okay.
Ideally, right. Hopefully. Right.
Ideally, I mean, it's that simple. It took me 20 years to figure out that if you want to sell people stuff, generally they don't want your solution. What they want to solve is a problem. And if you want to solve it, if you want to earn some money, it makes sense to talk to people that have some. Try blinding flash of the obvious. Took me 15 years to figure out, but it makes everything a lot easier if your fundamental conversations, whether it's a Google ad, a Facebook ad, a LinkedIn ad, a sales outreach, an email, if it lands in front of somebody who firstly has the problem that you can solve, and secondly has the money to pay for it. I would say 95% of marketing problems come from not having those 3 conditions, right? Trying to either sell something to people that don't have the money or don't have the problem. And then the next thing is actually firstly not knowing who those people are in the first place. Because if you don't know who they are, none of the metrics, the follow-up metrics, make sense. You can't tell whether or not your ads are working if you don't know if they're being shown to the right people in the first place. You don't know if your offer's working if it's not landing with the right people in the first place. Like, it's absolutely fundamental, understanding who your customer is, because everything else flows after that. So I'm probably going to say that another 15 times, that knowing who your customer is everything. Nothing else matters unless you're laser focused on who it is that your customer is. The next thing after that is, are they seeing your stuff? Okay, then you can bring all the tech in to see, can you get some words and pictures in front of those humans? Okay, if you don't know who they are, like, Google is not his marketing strategy. All right, it's just a way of potentially getting a message in front of people with problems and money. Yes, there's targeting. Yes, there's keywords, but what it's for is getting your message in front of people with problems and money. You want to know where keywords come from? People with problems, right? Keywords are people first. And so that's your targeting. If you're going to do, Facebook ads, getting your targeting nailed down to make sure that it's in your message is in front of people with problems. Your LinkedIn outreach, it comes down to your targeting, your offers, your conversational outreach. Are you talking to people with problems and money? And are you sending, are the right people seeing your stuff? I mean, blinding flash of the obvious, all this digital marketing stuff basically comes down to putting screens in front of humans. I mean, putting words and pictures on screens in front of humans. Okay, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, it's the simple formula. Like, are you able, you can put your words and pictures, your stuff in front of humans. And if it's not the right humans, nothing else matters. Right.
So several things here, John. I love, I put in our comments that keywords start with the people first. And I think that's so important, because the most elegant solutions are often the most simple ones as well. They get back to the fundamentals, the basics, because that is the solid ground that you can count on. I also want to mention for our audience out there, so some of you I see are joining us through our live streaming channels. So welcome. If this is your first visit to Book of Experts, I hope you enjoy us. You picked a great late afternoon, evening to join us, because John is going to be talking about how to simplify, really get the complexity out of your marketing, which I think that is a core conversation that we hear quite often with our agency owners, our solopreneurs, our speakers, our consultants. They are in this space, whether it's money or whether it's their time. They feel like there's a lot going out and not as much coming back to them as they need. So we're gonna tackle that problem. Also, I put in the comments, there is the link. So some of you may want to join us in AirMeet. That is the virtual meeting space. We've got folks congregating there. They're watching the same live stream as well. Hey guys, excited to join up with you shortly. When we finish the live stream at the top of the hour, we'll actually go to our Q&A tables. So that's a fun aspect. That John's going to join us there. He's got some questions, and we're gonna take this masterclass information and we're going to workshop it a little bit. You'll have a chance to talk about what's going on in your business with other experts from the community at Book of Experts. Hear what they're doing as well. Make some great connections. Do some networking. That's all coming up at the top of basically the second 45-minute, second hour of our event here today. But the first hour, we want to tackle the information, and that's why we have John joining us tonight. John, I actually want to segue for a second. If you'd tell us the story of Clem, because I think Clem is a great example of what this looks like in the real world when things are going wrong, and I think folks will appreciate where the story is going to go after that.
Amazing. So Clem is one of my sort of favorite customer success stories, and it represents a key sort of customer avatar for me, and that is the one-person marketing department. I spent a lot of time in agencies selling systems, selling services into one-person marketing departments, and man, they have a tough life. All right. So Clem, is a marketing manager for a group of hotels over here. She's incredibly bright, super focused. But man, she's in a tough situation. She's three years experience doing marketing, and suddenly she gets given the keys to the kingdom. It's like, here you go. Here is an empire, right? You got 12 different hotels, and you got 12 different hotels. Here's a massive digital marketing, Google Ads campaign. With an agency that runs that. There's the website. There's 4 different social media channels for each of the 12 hotels. Here is the stuff. Boom. Make money. Okay. And it's tough, for seasoned, experienced professionals. This would be a big challenge. And it's a pattern, unfortunately, I see happening time and time again out in the marketing space. Now, enterprise, big companies, they tend to have this handled. They've got a system that works, and that's why they're a big company. Right? That's how they got there, is because they built a system that works and they scaled it up. SMEs is where I've decided to focus on. Because after 20 years experience, I wanted to choose my target market. Okay, where is the people I could help most? And it's at this inflection point where a business owner has grown the business to the point that they want a sales and marketing system that isn't them, right? They've outsourced operations, they've outsourced sales, and they've hired their first marketing person. And this person, the first marketer that rocks into the organization, they get given a budget and they say, make ROI happen. And and this is where the chaos starts. This is where the fun starts, because this poor person has got an unwinnable game. You have to make ROI happen. You have to figure out this, but there's no marketing strategy. There's no coherent game plan. There's no past track record of success. And you can't talk to the salespeople, right? Because sales and marketing are not the same department. And instantly you've doomed your marketing department to years and years and years of trying to figure this stuff out. Because again, blinding flash of the obvious, you can't get ROI from marketing if you do not influence sales. Okay, it's one system, and I see it as a continuum. So I can see. I don't know. Can you see my screen, Tobin?
I will bring it back up.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so this just briefly, so this is a typical one-person Clem's Kingdom. All these different hotels. He's got a team of people, a small team of people.
We're still seeing the triangle, the upside-down triangle, John. It didn't switch with us. Do you want to?
Should I just stop sharing and share again?
Yeah, start. There you go.
All right. Okay, so this is not presentation quality. This is just, there we go. This is just, rough notes from, me just trying to understand what is, can you see that okay?
Yep, we've got it now.
I got you. All right, so this is our one-person marketing department's kind of, going, okay, you've got all these suppliers who work over here. These are the meetings I've got to have and the people I need to report to. These are all the hotels or different business areas that she's got to deal with. She's got a tiny team. It's her and one other internal person. These are all the channels she's then got to master, and then your internal comms as well. So you've got to communicate externally and internally. And this is obviously, I spent a long time being one of these people trying to sell into this chaos. And also sometimes being one of these people trying to simplify the chaos and actually be able to create some kind of order here. So seeing this from both sides, I'm going to stop sharing now because I think that's the key thing I wanted to get across here, is that this is the chaos of the one-person marketing department. I've been working in these businesses as a supplier, also doing training, and I figured, this is where I want to take my stand and say, this is where these are my people and these are the people I want to help, because this is businesses at a key inflection point. That if you can get this handled, this is where you build the system that then scales. This is where you move from a working business that makes money. And I think I could put another slide on this to just explain the progression here. Cool. There we go. You've got that. So this is the progression. Can you see my little men on their journey here?
It's up now.
Okay. So this is from the lean startup, where you've got different stages of the business. Product solution fit. Does my widget, my service do something useful for humans? To product market fit, will these humans give me money for this thing? To scale, where you're building a replicable system that will help enough people use my thing and pay me to make a business. And it's this inflection point here that there's Clem over there, the first marketing person. Generally, trying to build the system for the first time. There isn't a system yet, because generally the system is the founder. Right. The system is the founder, and again, here's the keys to the keys to the kingdom. Try and make this work. And so I found, over here, scale people that have mastered scale are big organizations, but it's one thing to do digital marketing or marketing generally in a large organization that has a working system. Those 4 elements I spoke about, very similar to your 4 gears of marketing, are already in evidence. But building it the first time is a completely different game. And this is where, where I learned those 4 diagnostic questions to be like, okay, here's the chaos. This is the marketing stuff over here, right? Do you know who your customers are? Yes or no? If there's not a clear answer, then that's where we start. If we know who your customers are, and there's an answer based on facts, then the next thing to look at is, are those customers seeing our stuff? There's a slide on that as well, which is simply this. Here's your marketing, the people you care about, and your marketing. If that's not happening, nothing else matters. Okay. Because if they're not seeing all the marketing stuff that you're doing, but it's not being seen by those key people, you might as well not be doing it.
Yeah, they don't even know you exist at that point.
They don't even know you exist. And this is where the data look at. It's like people are like, oh, SEO, you must do blogs. But then you look at the data and you go, well, this blog that you spent 15 hours lovingly handcrafted has been seen by 3 people in the last 3 months. Okay, what is wrong with this picture? So there's, the right strategy, doing the right thing at the right time. Choosing, because once you know who your humans are, then you can build marketing that is only where those people are. It seems so obvious, but it's just like, it's understanding who are your people with problems and money, and how does that desire to solve their problems manifest in online behavior. That gives you your targeting. That's where your targeting comes from. So that's the second question is, are there people, are those people seeing your stuff? And then third question, if they're seeing your stuff, do they give a shit? Right. So this is my metric for traction and data. Right. So it's great that they're seeing it. Depending on your channel, the give a shitness in Google is measured by click-through rate, dwell time, and conversion rate. On Facebook, it's engagement. It's comments, likes, shares, also clicks and conversions. Email, it's things like open rate and click-through rate. So your different channels will have different metrics around that. But you see that if you know who your customers are and they are seeing your stuff, then we know this is where the battle is. It's about engagement, right? It's about increasing the give a shitness of the stuff that you're creating, and making sure we're creating stuff that's of service to the people that we care about. And if that's happening, and the evidence of that is leads, then the next frontier is integration with the sales team. And it's a key competitive advantage. It's absolutely mission critical at that point to integrate with sales. Otherwise, you don't make any money.
John, one thing I want to bring, we had a question. Kaylin had actually asked in the group, what if we're not clear on that niche, on knowing the people? So what I heard you say before was that by getting clearly identifying who your people are and not everyone else, you've now cut out a huge amount of that complexity, because you're no longer required to, indebted to, or feel the obligation to play in the spaces where your people aren't. You don't even go there. So we've immediately limited. But what does your process look like? Because when I think about Clem, and how many different hotels was she responsible for? Sure. I thought it was 5. You said a dozen?
Yeah. Let's count them, because I'm all about the data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eight
different boutique hotels that she had to do all, essentially, the marketing as if they were 8 separate businesses. I mean, that just feels like a headache.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
And I can show example after example. Another one of my favorite clients is Susie, she's the one-person marketing department for a business analytics or enterprise analytics company. Same thing, multiple different departments and different products that she was marketing. So it's a great question. So let's talk about Caitlin's question, because that's my understanding who your customers are is absolutely foundational. So it depends on where you are in the journey. My one-person marketing department kingdom. If you know who your customers are, if you want to know who your customers are, I'll always follow the data. Okay? If you're not clear on who your niche is, go look at who gave you money. Right? Go look in the accounting system. Go do a customer edge analysis and see how many people have given you the money and who gave you the most. That's the simplest version of this. If you are in a business that's already making money. If you don't have that luxury, and this is a lot of these processes I've needed to work out, we're in the startup build. So my process, I use something called the lean canvas. book Running Lean by Ash Maurya, and also the site leanstack.com. My absolute favorite tool for that. So I run, as part of any new client process, it's 2 hours. I get everyone in a room together, empty everybody's heads, and sort through all the different combinations. So there's and again, it's people, problems, and money. So generally what happens is, I take, you need someone from sales, someone from marketing, someone from finance, and someone from customer service, and the founder. Get them all in a room together. Don't let them talk to each other, and make them all write down separately who's your customer, right? And what you then get is a list of 20, 30 different customer segments, and different people call the customers different things. They've got different words for the same thing. They call the same thing different things. And you start to see the chaos. Salespeople are aiming here, marketing's aiming over there, customer service, who are actually talking to people, are talking to different people entirely, and the finance people are going, well, that's who actually pays the bills. But getting that consensus and rebuilding that around a common vision and getting everyone to aim at the same thing, that's my favorite way of doing it. Some of my favorite work to do is exactly that, is running those workshops.
So John, we've had, our team at Book of Experts has actually had an experience working with you, and can you bring up I believe you have your graphic of the lean canvas, because the one thing I want to emphasize with folks, if you're familiar with this, and some of you may be, the lean canvas model is very popular sort of in the startup space, but people might feel inclined to, you've gotten, it's 9 different categories, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Nine different sort of boxes that you're going to fill in your business model. And so the way people commonly do this, they might take 5 minutes and they're thinking about who the customer segments are, and you're jotting down. But we spent a good 2 hours just on that one box on the right-hand side, talking about the customer segments and hearing the different language from different members of the team of what they were seeing and who they've been experiencing and interacting with, and getting that information so that that one big domino was going to flow through the rest of the lean canvas. How do you think about that process? And we have a couple of questions coming in too, John. I'll watch and manage those, but I wanted to hear more about this specifically, because I know this is a big part of your process.
So your question specifically is, how do I manage that in terms of getting consensus around the customer segment?
I think if you can walk folks what that, we have some folks out there who may even be solopreneurs who are thinking about their business, and how do they take this process and could they make it work for them if they're not necessarily doing it as a team exercise.
Got you. And it really does help. If you are a solopreneur, then there's a couple of questions I would ask. The first thing is just to be aware of the 80-20 principle, right? To know that in any list of things, there's going to be some that are disproportionately more powerful than others. So what I would do is list out, if you could have your ideal customer, who would they be? Who would buy all of your products? Who would tell all their friends? Who would buy your most expensive thing? The other sort of counterintuitive thing with the customer question is it's not people that necessarily have the problem that you solve, but people that want to spend money on a solution, right? Who is already motivated to spend money with you? For whom is your product a no-brainer? Okay. And a great question is the bleeding neck problem, right? It's like, you imagine someone running into like an emergency, like the ER theater, blood literally squirting out of their neck, and they're going, right. This is not a person who's going to negotiate on price. Okay. So these two things go together, customer and problem. Okay. And really understanding, like, what is the pain? What is the customer? Who's the customer? What do they want, and what's in the way? Because if you can say yes, like there is someone who's aggressively trying to get to where you can take them. So I'll give you a couple of examples here, because this is where it really comes home. Okay, people say, like, let's use the hotel example, right? You say, who's a customer? Well, everyone's a customer, all right? Everyone stays in a hotel. Yeah, that's right. But then you start digging down into the data, and you say, okay, well, occupancy rate and nights per stay is a key metric. So who stays for more than one night? Okay, then the room rates are not the same either. Okay, so who stays in the expensive rooms? Okay, then extra services is also a lever. Okay, so who stays in the expensive rooms for multiple days and buys lots of extra stuff? Okay, maybe they play golf, maybe they drink a lot, maybe there are a couple, there's a spa, maybe they use the spa thing as well. Maybe they order room service. What's the 80-20 on the menu? What's the most expensive stuff here? And you start to get a different sort of picture of, well, here's somebody that is potentially a high-powered business executive that has a wife and 2 kids, and he likes to play golf, and she likes to get a spa treatment, and now suddenly you start to get a product that starts to suggest itself that says, date night weekend or something like that. All right. I mean, my favorite example of this in the leisure industry, there's a hotel in Edinburgh called House of Gods. Okay. Now, this is not a hotel for everybody, right? This is a hotel. The rooms are soundproof, and you've got a Bose sound system built into every room. You have a button that you press, and they bring you Prosecco, right? Unlimited Prosecco. It's free with your room. Okay. They have a cocktail service where each cocktail is brought to you by a guy in a black guy, and they dress up differently depending on the room, the hotel that they're bringing to you. The cocktail that they're bringing to you. So you can imagine there's a cocktail called Welcome to the Jungle that is brought to you in a turban-wearing dude playing Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses on
I was just going to say, I was voting for Axl Rose to have this as his new professional line of work. So.
Exactly. So you see what I mean? It's like you understand who your customer. Their customer is not everybody. All right. Their customer is couples that like to go away and party. Okay, and the whole experience is built around them. They can charge a premium for what they do. They're the best rated hotel in all of Scotland because they didn't try and be everyone's hotel. They nailed down the very specific the very specific customer that likes to do what they like to do. Okay, they like to stay, and the occupancy is super high. They're always booked out, and people spend loads of money when they go there because the whole thing is catered around people wanting to have a very specific experience. If I take the same thing and let's take it to a completely different example, because a lot of my work's actually business to business. What I call is people selling boring, expensive stuff to other businesses. Okay, but the same principle applies, right? Busy doing some work with a company that does bid management consultancy. Okay, so what they do is they help companies who get work from the public sector via bids and tenders increase their bid rate. Okay, so talk about a bleeding neck problem. You want to get more bids from the government, and your bid win rate is 5%. They increase it to 30%. Okay, do you think that the ROI on that is pretty high? Okay, so we look at who are the people that buy all their services, and we dug down into the customers, and it turns out that out of entire the UK, there's 150 businesses that are their top 100. We nailed it down to turnover. We nailed down to their specific size of business, and these people at the moment, with COVID restrictions and all of these things, they're extremely motivated to come out of lockdown and win more business. So marketing to that customer segment is super, super easy because the conversation is to say, hi there, there is 30 million pounds worth of business available at the moment for tender. How much of that would you like? How much of that are you poised to get? Would you like some help getting more of that? Yes or no? And that's what I call a key, like a bleeding neck question, a bleeding neck problem. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, and we have some additional. I'm going to bring up. I see Sputnik is starting to join in the conversation with us as well. So, so we had a question that came in, John, from Gregory Suze. He said, when you know who your niche is, it's very difficult to target them with ads. What's the best way to reach them? I'm not sure when you know the niche, but it's still very difficult to target them with ads, I think is what he's saying here.
Yeah, so just everything comes out of knowing who your niche is. Because I think a lot of this formula and this work that I've created was, when I had kind of platform infatuation. Right. When I first started doing digital marketing, I had early success with Google Ads, and therefore I thought Google Ads was the solution to everything. Okay, and I find this is quite common. If you meet an SEO guy, they say the solution to SEO everything is more SEO. You meet a Facebook ads guy, and it's like, well, the solution to everything is and that's one of the principles of lean is, called Genji Genbutsu, right? If you go back to it, which means go and see for yourself. Okay, which means imagine you've never seen it before, and go and look at these humans as if you've never seen them before. Okay, take off all of your hats and all of your things and see like, who are these humans? Really get to know them and understand where they hang out. That's where your targeting comes from. And it's super counterintuitive because you kind of want to go, oh, LinkedIn. But part of my process is we do the work to go channel by channel and use the targeting tools to try and find them. And if you go, Facebook, LinkedIn, email, snail mail, okay, post. Weirdly, there's some niches in some countries. Like in the UK, we've got GDPR. You can't send people email. Illegal. Can send them post. Like, who would have thought?
Right.
Okay, but that's the worst, understanding who they are and where they hang out, and then let the targeting naturally arise from that. There's no substitute for getting to know who they are. And Tobin, in your process, you've got the discovery for everyone out there, the OR process, or what's now called reverse gear. But it's kind of like a discovery call on steroids. It's a process Tobin's developed and I've adopted wholeheartedly. Is getting on the phone with people and figuring out like how they operate. Like how do you go in and solve the problem that you're trying to solve? And I've got another graphic here. I mean, if you want to talk targeting, I got like all the targeting.
So one of the things I want to share with, following up on Gregory's question that he asked is, it sounds like, Gregory, it may not be a paid ads solution. It may be by looking at the people and going to essentially do the social science of observing them and understand there may be other pathways to reach that same group of folks in a way. Could be paid, it could be organic, it could be a completely different channel that you might not have considered. Is that a good summary of what you're sharing?
Yeah, like it all arises from the data. So there's different ways of targeting, and you can basically break down any of the. So this is when you're trying to choose a channel, right? You can break down all the different channels according to these 4 basic categories. One is the center of the bullseye is brand. Okay, and I'm just going to deal with my cat while I'm answering the question.
we can hear you. Okay.
So the center of the bullseye is brand, right? So these are people that are already looking for you by name. Okay, they know who you are. They've bought something from you. So if the center of the bullseye is big, your marketing is easy. Okay. So if they're searching for you on Google, if they're following you on Facebook, if they're going on LinkedIn, they're in your email list, these are all red audiences, people that already know who you are. The next concentric layer out from there is product. People searching for the exact product or service that you sell. Could be on Google. And again, we need to do the work to actually go and map for your business what are the sizes of these different circles. So your product metric is what is the exact product or service that you sell, like the proper name for the service. So, if you're selling Nike running shoes, the center of the bullseye is Nike running shoes. The orange circle would be running shoes, people that want to buy running shoes, people that want to buy, digital marketing consulting services, okay, or lean marketing. I really wish people were searching for lean marketing consultant, but it's not happening yet, but we're working on it. The next level out is people trying to solve the problem that you solve, but they haven't made the connection to a product yet. Okay, so if you're using the running space, this is like running races or fun things to do on the weekend. They haven't made the connection to running yet, and definitely not to running shoes. And this is where you need to be a bit creative, because if you have a small, and this is again your one-person marketing department kingdom, generally very small brand search, not that many people searching for the product, and especially if you're doing something kind of niche, there might not be. Sometimes you'll be surprised. I love in my B2B clients, there's something super techy that they do, you go and find out what the industry term is for that and what the words that they use to describe the problem. Sometimes there's gems to be had. I had one client, I mean, they've generated probably close to $1 million worth of qualified leads so far, just by understanding that the way that the word that their customers used for their solution was a business intelligence hub. Okay, like they sell this really complicated thing, but it turned out when we did the work, that's what the customers called it. They advertised for that, and leads happened. But understanding those counterintuitive things. Then this category 3 is the solution, finding out what else are they searching for or looking for that is not your product, but can get you there. Okay, like you might not be selling, I'm trying to think of any, like if you're a real estate broker or something like that, you might not want to sell directly on real estate broker for whatever reason, but like, how do I buy a house? How do I save money on transfer fees? How do I, where do I, what do I? Those are kind of questions. So they're not directly searching it, but there's often interesting opportunities there. And you can sometimes reach people counterintuitively that way. And then the fourth level out is crowd, people that have the problem that you solve, but aren't searching it. So this is your banner advertising, YouTube, Google display ads, Facebook, LinkedIn, television, pamphlets, billboards, all of those sort of things. And then the fifth category is the wasteland, which is people that will never buy from you ever, and don't buy those. And if you really understand that, then you can start to mix and match your different audiences. So every platform has got an ability to leverage your existing data. For example, you can upload your customers into Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, or you can model your existing customer data patterns by analyzing. On LinkedIn, go and look at your existing customers, see what they talk about. Get on a discovery call with them, record that, listen to sales calls, things like that, listen to how they talk. Your subscribers, your website visitors, your fans. And then different platforms have got different ways of targeting. Either by customer behavior, like on Google Ads or SEO, you can target people searching, or LinkedIn or Facebook, you can target by how they, or Twitter, you can target by how they behave, by their interests, declared and inferred, demographics and big part and associated data, and then you can start layering those as well to say people that look like your customers, and there's if you've got more than 1,000 customers. Digital marketing is easy because you upload those customers onto the 4 major platforms. You say, find me people that look like these. You put your interesting stuff in front of them, and then wait for the money to roll in. But if you don't have 1,000 customers yet, then you start to need to get into the weeds with this a bit. And great question. If I don't know the exact answer. It's not the easy answer, but I think here's the comprehensive answer to this is where you've got to go and dig, and this is how I would break that question down.
Yeah, that was where you went with that last part of it, John, is exactly what my next question. But I just want to tell you as an aside, you're getting a lot of love in the comments. So folks are saying like, I've never heard this broken down this way. This is genius. Others, and these are coming from folks in the sales and marketing space who have seen a lot of things saying, yes, this is great. Love this. So really getting a lot of kudos. I do want to circle around because I want to ask on behalf of some of our folks in the audience. I know you guys, and some of you are thinking, I don't have that data. I don't have 1,000. I don't have 100. I probably don't have, in some cases, not even a dozen clients yet. They're maybe entering a new space, spinning up a new service or a program or an online course. What are you doing with folks? And maybe you're not. Maybe they're just not the right fit for you yet. But with folks that don't have that body of data to get started with, what do your first steps look like?
I would first start with, my first question, purely out of curiosity, is always firstly, what is your goal, right? Because this is where it's a something happens in our brains. Like when we don't have customers, we think we need all the customers. Okay. All right. I was on a call with a prospective client today. He wants to increase his business from $1 million to $2 million a year. Okay. And it turns out that he needs, in order to do that, he needs 3 good customers. Okay. All right. So once you get down to like, how many customers, do you actually need? And I could ask another way is, how many customers can you even handle? Right. Because often, as consultant types, around about 10, it starts to get a bit sketchy. All right. 10 is like, okay, now we're breaking the system. Like, I don't think I could handle more than 10. And especially if you get 10 good customers that are paying you decently, then you don't need more than 10. So then you're going, okay, well, the game here is not about how do I, do all the things that all the marketing, right? Because that's not reasonable. Okay. And I'm like the less marketing guy. Is like literally what is the shortest way to get 10 customers? Okay, like this is my whole process. It's like, marketing in 2021, it's like, customers, big profit stuff. Okay. And like, you would actually want to have less stuff. Like, if it's 10 customers that you want, do it in one channel. Like, ignore everything else. If you can find evidence of like 100 potential customers on any one channel, go all in on that. Ignore everything else until you're sitting on a big pile of money and you have lots of customers. Then you'll have the data. Until such time, I think, sales is an absolutely lost art in marketing. Right. I think it's like, you really understand sales, it unlocks all the good stuff in marketing. Your outreach process, conversational outreach, it's not about doing hundreds of ads and things like that. I suppose you can do that, and I've seen it done, but what I've seen a lot more often is people spending a lot of money and getting no results. Sales and marketing are 2 interlocking gears, and to my mind, you need to build the sales machine first, then build the marketing machine. And as an entrepreneur, finding out where your humans are is much cheaper and easier to do on, from a sales perspective. Get on the phone, go speak to people, go to networking events, get some money, right? Because the process of getting that will unlock for you everything else you need to know about your marketing. And if you really, really understand a sales call, hi, the purpose of our discussion is to find out if you know where you are and where you want to be and see if I can help. Where are you? At 100 million, I want to get to 2 million. Whatever the case might be, understanding where those are, that forms the groundwork, the fundamental ingredients for your marketing. You understand who to target, sell some stuff first. It doesn't cost you any money, and you'll learn all along the way. And those sales calls and those questions that people will ask you in the sales conversations, that will give you everything you need for your social media. The things that you write down in your proposals, especially the successful ones, will give you everything you need to go into your website. Right? Because it's the same content. It's just words and pictures on screens in front of humans. The order changes a little bit, but people try and do the marketing stuff first. Whereas, I've tried that a lot. But if you're just getting started, I would do it the other way around. I mean, I love digital stuff, right? But my suggestion would be sell first. Learn how to sell, learn how to do outreach, because it's the same platforms, it's the same mechanisms that you then amplify with the marketing stuff. So.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to sort of cover. You've given us, this is actually one of the things I love best about you, John, is you have this wide range from working with folks in the enterprise space where you would have that big body of data to work with. And what you just walked us through is, you know what, folks, there's qualitative data. Data can be quantitative when you're looking at numbers, but it's also qualitative, which is those actual conversations with people. John, we're coming up on, we've got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Folks, I'm going to put if you didn't join us, I'm going to grab this link to AirMeet, because if you want to make that trip with us over to the Q&A tables, you're going to want to come join us in AirMeet, because we'll be wrapping up the live streaming portion and going into small group discussions, basically the workshop, and a chance to get to know John here a little bit more, ask him some questions that maybe we haven't covered yet. John, bring us home in the last 10 minutes. Where would you like to go with it, with this idea of taking the complexity out of your marketing? And by the way, I love your reference to being the less marketing guy. I think that's a great way to reference that.
I think, if I could bring it home, it comes down to the mission. I think it's a Jim Rohn quote that says, in life, you can have everything that you want as long as you can help enough people get what they want. And to me, all sales and marketing and business is about helping people solve problems and help people get what they want. So this is something I invite you to consider. It's like, what's your mission? If your mission, I believe we're all superheroes. Our life experience, our journey is our origin story. Things have happened to us that have allowed us to solve the hell out of some very specific problems. You're like the Superman to a group of very specific problems. And I think it's if you can solve problems for people with money, then it's your duty to make lots of money, right? It's your responsibility to make lots of money, because then you lift the whole game. Because if you're doing something important and valuable for people, and they vote for that, and they give you evidence of that by paying you, right? Then you should do it a lot, because that way they're getting something that they need, and you're getting paid. And I think that's a vision that I really want to, I think to me, when I distill all this marketing stuff down to the essence, it's not about convincing people to do something or buy something that they don't need, but to help people get what they want. What is the secret amazing thing that you can do with bells on and connect through systems or processes or whatever to people that need it and want it and will get massive joy from that. And if we can connect all those dots, I think that's the vision. Like, that's my vision anyway. When taken to conclusion, this whole lean marketing thing of solving people's problems for money, then it's like the game is fun. Connect to people that want to solve the problem and want to spend money on it. Then you get to do your thing. You get to do your thing, and I think it lifts the whole game. It makes everybody more successful. And I don't believe that there's any shortage of money in the world that's not well distributed. But I think, again, marketing can help. Like, let's connect, your superpower with people that need it. And so I just invite you to consider, dwell on this. That what is the thing that you want in life, and who are you going to help in exchange to get there? And we get clear on that, then marketing is easy.
I think what I've heard from you tonight, John, is you're really just taking all the extra stuff out of the mix, cutting it down to the basic necessities here, and simplifying the conversation of solving problems for people with money who will happily pay that money to get the solution they want out of it. And the more you can turn that cycle over, your business is going to grow. They're going to benefit. It's an abundance all the way around.
Absolutely. And then when you're sitting on a big pile of money from solving problems for people with money, then go solve problems for people who don't have money. Okay, that's like the next game. Have fun, make money, do good, right? What doesn't work is trying to make money from solving problems for people that don't have any. Okay, like, I think that's a worthy objective, but do the first thing first. Put the oxygen mask over yourself, then go trying to help other people. Connect to your own abundance, connect to your inner gifts, deliver that at scale, and then spread it around. Yeah,
this is great. John, walk us through, because folks that are going to be on the Q&A tables, you've got a prompt or a challenge that you want to give them to think about as we get ready to go into the Q&A discussions. What do you want them to think about?
It's just who's your customer and what do they want? Who's your customer and what do I'm just going to stop sharing because I've actually put this, but just very simply, like, who's your customer and what do they want? So I've spoken a lot about your customer. Your customer is not everybody. Your customer is a very certain specific people that that are here. They want to be here. Okay, and you can help them get there. Okay, so what is it that they want? Because if we can be super clear about that, it's going to simplify your marketing. All right, what do they want? And you can help them get there. So that's what I want you to just consider, and let's talk about that in the in the networking groups and things like that. Just get super clear about who's your ideal customer. What do they want? Because then all what you do, your process, your system, your service helps people get there.
Yeah. So I want to add one thing to John's challenge for you guys as you're sort of jotting down these notes and you're ready to talk about this in a small group. You guys probably have heard that famous example of, this is a marketing example. I actually don't remember. I can't remember where I heard this first because it's so often repeated. But they'll say, people don't want to buy the drill. They want the hole, right, in the wall. That you're getting the drill so you can put the hole in the wall. I believe it's Seth Godin who's taken it a step further. And this is what I would challenge you guys to think about with John's question here is they don't want the hole in the wall either. What they actually want is the paintings and the family photos hung on the wall, creating the inviting space so that when the whole family convenes, you feel like you have your family all around you, even when they're miles and miles apart, particularly in this last year where we haven't been able to see some of our family members. That having their pictures right on the wall and feeling connected to them can be priceless. So that's what we're after, is the feeling and the emotions around it. So how can you identify that with your people? Who are your people? What do they actually want that's beyond the hole, beyond the drill, and whatever product or service that you're already working with? So I think this will be fun to dig into this. John, I appreciate you coming on to do our Masterclass Monday with us, particularly with the time, because I know it's a little bit late. And thankfully, Sputnik has hopefully a full belly now, so he's doing well. We want to make sure everyone's taken care of. Folks, you can join us again. I'll put it one last time because I know, like with LinkedIn, please fix your, with your live streams, the comments really hard to find. You have to go back through the LinkedIn to actually find the comments. They're not just listed there. But let me put this in so you guys can join us on the Q&A tables, and we will see you there shortly.